Hi, Tim Sells here. In this series of videos, I've been talking about what prevents somebody from joining. And one of those reasons is people think that you have to be lucky in order to have success in network marketing. And that's what I'm going to talk about. All right, so I was laying in a tent, and the idea of this video came to be because I have two young boys. It was about 17 degrees outside, and they're sawing logs, and I'm laying there with my hands behind my head, and I'm looking up. There's a full moon that was lighting up the tent. I'm listening to my boys, and for those of you who know me close, you know that there's just nothing greater than being a dad, and I just feel lucky. And I feel very lucky to find, the true love of my life. And I feel lucky to be in network marketing and successful so that I could get the farm that I wanted and live where I want to live and work when I want to work, okay? And so I was like, why am I so lucky? It's what I was asking myself. And I finally said, that wasn't luck. Every single step of the way, things occurred. And by consistently stepping towards greater and greater understanding of business, then I got myself in the right positions. Okay? And so I want to walk you through a couple of things here. So I'm fascinated with history, all right? And it's a love because each human being on this earth has had a lifetime of experiences, and it's fascinating to me. And so I kind of ended up drawing this one column in my head, and then I ended up drawing another column that would connect. And what it was is that I started looking and seeing that what occurs and has occurred all through the history is that, let's say it starts off with that hunters, what they did was they acquired meat, right? So it was the acquisition of, and then their fishermen acquire fish. It's the acquisition of fish when it was the most important thing, right? And then farmers would acquire crops. And so they work, most of the spring, and then they harvest. And so it was about acquiring food, and that was the area. And so then I also thought about the knights and so forth, and the warriors acquired land for the king, right? And so that was key for the king to build the empire, right? And I'll cut through a lot of history now, and I'll just say that it's always been about acquisition. And right now, in this time on earth, it is that the salesperson who acquires the customer is the most valued, and they're giving a currency that they're able to buy other things, all right? So that is it is the journey that I've been on, is understanding that acquisition is the king, all right? And it always has been. And so as I come along and I think about that, and so I'm just going to write their acquisition here. It's like way up here at the top. And so if a person is at the bottom of, and if you could just imagine a scale here, then consumption would be down here. In other words, that would be kind of the furthest away you could get from acquisition would be just pure consumption. You can think about somebody who is, maybe on welfare or something like that they are on the consumption side, not so much on the acquisition side, because that is where the most security comes from. It's where the most profit margins come from. And so that's the way that I kind of saw that, because if you looked across when you had the hunters who would go out and kill and get meat, and they would bring it back to the tribe, and then there were people who would, not be able to hunt. They didn't have the skill set yet. They haven't trained on it enough. They didn't have this thing that I call self-discipline to be able to do that, right? So they didn't do that. They didn't push themselves up to learn the skills to be able to do it. And it's no different than today. And that was what stunned me. Okay, I was laying there and I was like, wow, that really is. Because over here, you would, let's just say that that was victim. Okay? And so, and then that, sorry. So you've got a victim here and somebody who is self-disciplined here. And that too is a scale. And that is not luck. It's not luck to look and say and end up climbing up the ladder to understanding wealth is about the acquisition of customers. The person who has the most customers has a lot. That's the whole thing, right? And when they acquired a lot of land, that was a lot. And when they acquired a lot of gold, or they acquired a lot of meat or crops, okay? And on this side, what does it take? Does it take luck to get there? No, it's not luck. Okay, maybe, but I'm not going to count on luck. I had to count on self-discipline. And so one of my big steps was when I decided that I was going to leave my hometown and join the Navy. All right, that was a big step. I wanted to go into something that was underwater welding, and I wanted to go into it, and the only way that I could do it was to get trained in the Navy. And so I crawled up that, right? In other words, I crawled up that ladder. And then when they told me that I couldn't have it for 4 years, I put in a request sheet every single day for 4 years, or really it was about 3 years. And not a lot of people do that. And so, because I was so determined to get there. So it takes that determination and that self-discipline. I was reading something to my son, and he's 10 years old. There's a 4 and a 10. And I was talking to him about self-discipline and telling him where it came from. And I said, it comes from within. It comes from you. And I said, explain that. Give me an example of that. And he couldn't come up with it. And so that's the reason that I wanted to do this video is that somebody thinks that it is luck, and it is not luck unless you understand and willing to do this and this. Okay, you got to understand that acquisition is king at this time in life, and that self-discipline has always been king. And so you've got to go up that ladder, and this is a skill set. It is a habit. It is a habit to be at the bottom. Blame, victim, all kinds of stuff down there is just noise. And you have to power up to get out of that zone, okay? And you can just kind of picture that there's different rungs here and different attitudes in life, mindsets, however you want to call them. But the bottom line is that can you get yourself to do something? And that's a habit. Okay, you run down the scale and you can't get yourself to do something. And you have to work out that muscle called, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. It's believing in yourself. It is, I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock. And go to bed at 10 o'clock. Not 10:05, not 10:01, 10 o'clock. Right? I'm going to get up at 6. I'm going to get up at 5. Whatever it is, do it. Strengthen that muscle of just doing the little things so that you build back your self-confidence that you do what you say you're going to do. All right? And so you build up that self-discipline, because the self-discipline, when you get over into this thing that I've drawn a million times, which is leads, contact, set appointments, presentation, and follow up, and then you get a customer over here, you serve them, and then you make money, okay? So it takes a lot of thrust, okay, to power up the self-discipline and bust through all of the noise over here that everybody else deals with, that I had to deal with. I had to kick my way up through there, right? And so everybody else has to as well. And so it is to get a lead and then take that lead on a journey, contact them, set appointments, do presentations, follow up. They say no, move them off the board. Do another one. And that is how I got lucky. All right. And one of the things that is always in my mind is an exercise that we had to do in special operations, and they called it pays to be a winner. And the first time that you hear it is just kind of a phrase. And so I want to try to tell a story that happened with me so that you can get the intensity that I got it, because I believe that it is the entire secret as to why this happens and why I was willing to walk up that ladder. So what it was is that we were doing wind sprints, and I think it was probably about a half of a football field long. And so the instructor said, it pays to be a winner. And I remember hearing it, and so we all took off running, and the person who won got to sit out. Okay, so if you can just imagine this is 50 yards, and we all sprinted this way, but one person won. And then that person, it pays to be a winner, he got to sit out while we sprinted this way and sprinted back this way. And then he joined the race again. And guess what? Why does it pay to be a winner? Well, he got to rest 2 runs. And so, of course, he's going to always win now. And that I understood. And so I always had to make sure that I was at least ahead of the last person. Why? Because they began to cut people from the team from the person who was last running. So if we all took off running and there was a last person, it pays to be a winner, and it's horrible to be a loser. They didn't use those words, but you can get the idea. And so whoever was last got cut. And one by one, they were cutting us. And it pays to be a winner. And I didn't want to be a loser. And I believe that that had a whole lot to do with me building this thing called self-discipline. And self-discipline is getting yourself to do what you say you're going to do. It's different than discipline. Discipline is when you get a speeding ticket. In other words, you didn't have the self-discipline to slow yourself down, so the policeman gives you a ticket. That's discipline, different than self-discipline. Self-discipline is when you get yourself to do something. And so based upon that, where it got really ingrained in me that it pays to be a winner, it pays for me to control my actions. All right? And so I hope this is helpful for you in really understanding, because the Navy was looking for people who were willing to dig deeper. When you run a whole bunch of wind sprints, and every single time you've got to beat somebody in order to stay in the game, then it gives you a different kind of perspective on life. And people think that like network marketing, it's always there, or their company or something like that. And all you have to do is study history, and you're going to see that's not true. Not true at all. And so now is the best time. Why? Well, because right now acquisition is king. And so if I have a team of people who acquire customers and reps that keep multiplying my effort, I don't believe there's a better game. And so I hope you get as lucky as I do. And the way I got lucky was understanding where wealth is today and understanding self-discipline. So give me your thoughts on this. Please comment and let me know what you think about this, and give me a thumbs up if you like it. Thanks so much.